So this is what happens when you don't expect snow, but you wake up to snow. Dang it. Dang it, dang it. I'm in Cedar City, Utah, and it snowed last night. And it wasn't supposed to snow last night. Hey folks, Chris here. It has been a couple of months since I've done a video. When I got back to Utah, I had been traveling through the Pacific Northwest during the summer, and fall was upon us and the weather was beginning to change in the Pacific Northwest, and so I left. And I had migrated down through a series of towns, and the last video that I did went on was, I think I was in Twin Falls. I didn't stay for very long, and I went all the way down into Utah, down in central Utah where I'm from. And I've been in central Utah for the past 2 months. Right as I got into central Utah, I had a massive illustration project to work on that took me about 2 months of work. I mean, it was really intense, and I just did not have energy to travel or to do much beyond this really quite intense illustration project. It just ate up all of my time. But I'm traveling again, and I'm in southern Utah. But let me just tell you really quick, because I want to use some of the footage that I had shot while I drove down from Twin Falls down into central Utah. It's really interesting when you drive that route. I think it's Route 84. Southern Idaho is not incredibly interesting. It's kind of flat. But when you get into northern Utah, it starts to get interesting if you know what to look for. There used to be a massive inland sea called Lake Bonneville, quite a bit larger than the current Great Salt Lake. The Great Salt Lake is actually a remnant, sort of a small shard, if you will, of it. It's just so interesting when you drive into that, because when you know to look for the geological signs, you can see them everywhere, that you're actually driving into basically the basin of an ancient lake. You can see ancient shorelines and the telltale signs of what used to be a very large body of water. In fact, the Great Salt Flats in Utah are part of that. They're a remnant of that. I grew up in, well, at least part of the time I lived in Salt Lake City and a few other areas of the Wasatch Front. And the fact is, you can see when you know to look, it's very clear that there are ancient shorelines along the perimeter of the Wasatch Front Mountains. And it's really fun to see that. When I was here, I was in Utah Valley for this 2-month period. So one of the things that I had to do when I got into Utah, literally right as I was getting into Utah, was there was a really significant cold air system moving down from Canada over into the center of the United States, and it dropped Utah down into the teens. So I had to very rapidly winterize my RV, and so for the past 2 months I've been living in the RV in a winterized state, which is kind of a pain. So what happens is I have to drain out any water. I pumped antifreeze into all the water lines and into the water tank. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I've done it before, and you can do that, and I can live in the RV during that time period using an ad hoc sort of water system that I have that's just very simple, and it gets me by. It gets me by for the time period if I have to live in the RV. So I had to do that, and my plan was to get down to St. George and de-winterize the RV. I finally left, and I literally left just in time to miss a winter storm hitting central Utah. And I actually got clipped a little bit. I drove down to the very middle of Utah where my mom lives, and I spent a day with my mom down there. She lives in this small little rural area where there are farm animals, and I went to sleep that night with hearing ducks in the background and other farm animals, which was kind of fun, and the omnipresent smell of manure, cow manure from cow farms and stuff that are in the area. And I woke up to snow. Snow in the middle of Utah. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I gotta go clean my panels off. When I had to push snow off of the solar panels, so I had to get up and clear off my solar panels in order to get sun into my batteries. So I finally left, and I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't exactly sure what the travel weather was going to be like, but it turned out to be really good that day. And so I just wound my way through central Utah, which typically isn't the most interesting, but because there had been snow in areas, there were times when it was really pretty. And you have to drive down a little ways, and then you connect over Interstate 70 to get over to the main thoroughfare north to south in Utah, which is Interstate 15. And the mountain range that you have to pass over creates a bit of a rain shadow or a precipitation shadow, and so the valleys that you drive over on the eastern side don't get as much precipitation, and that was really clear from a snow standpoint. But as you climb up into it, you progressively start seeing more snow, and it was just really pretty. It was white, covered on top of the typical browns of that area, and then with the blue sky. So check this out. I just stopped off to change my battery out. Look at the scenery around here. I love the desert scenery with snow on it. So pretty. By the time I got over to Interstate 15, as I descended, it was clear that there was quite a bit more snow on the western side. And I was driving down to Cedar City. My plan was to get down to Cedar City, just spend the night there, and then go all the way down to St. George. And I wish I had gone all the way down to St. George, because I woke up in the morning and there was 3 inches of snow, at least, on everything. And it turns out that a storm had passed through, and it was snowing all morning, and I was really nervous that I was going to be stuck there because I'd also run out of propane in the middle of the night, which isn't great. Great planning on my part. But I had checked the weather, and the weather didn't say that it was supposed to snow in the morning. It said maybe a 20% chance. Luckily, Utah is really good with snow plows and with clearing the roads, and by about noon, it was clear to me that the roads were becoming clear enough with all of the snowplow activity that I was able to get going. And the roads became clear enough, and when I got on the freeway, everything was clear enough. I felt bad for the people behind me because the snow coming off the RV was like a snow bomb for about 2 miles, which was hilarious. By the time I got down into St. George, it was quite a bit warmer. And that's the thing. The elevation between St. George and Cedar City is dramatic. You descend rapidly and a large amount of altitude, and that's one of the reasons why Cedar City is quite a bit colder than St. George. So down here in St. George, it was warmer. There's been a cold front that passed through, and so tonight it's going to be only about 25. But it'll be warmer once I get down to Vegas, because I'm only going to be here for, I don't know, less than a week, and I'm heading to Vegas where it's going to be quite a bit warmer. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick sort of update to talk about what I'm doing, and I'm back, and I'm going to try and start doing some videos again. So anyway, thanks for watching.